You ever have one of those neighbors who acts like she owns the entire neighborhood? Well, meet Karen, the self-appointed queen of our HOA. It all started one calm Saturday morning. The sun was out, birds were chirping, and my golden retriever, Buddy, was lying on the lawn, doing absolutely nothing wrong. I was sipping my coffee when I heard that dreaded sound. "Excuse me!" There she was, Karen. Sunglasses bigger than her face, clipboard in hand and a frown sharp enough to cut glass. "Your dog," she began, "is violating HOA Regulation 12B. Unsupervised animals on communal property. You'll be receiving a fine." I blinked. "Karen, he's on my lawn." She smirked. "Front lawns are shared aesthetic space. Read the bylaws." I wanted to laugh, but she was dead serious. Within the hour, I got a $200 fine notice taped to my door, complete with her signature at the bottom. Buddy tilted his head, like he was just as confused as I was. But then, something happened that Karen didn't expect. The next morning, she strutted past my yard again, and Buddy decided he'd had enough. He trotted right over to her perfectly groomed front yard and, well, let's just say he left a special delivery, right in the middle of her prized flower bed. Karen screamed like she'd witnessed a crime scene. "This is vandalism!" she shrieked, waving her phone to take pictures. I smiled and said, "Oh, don't worry, Karen. I'll take care of it." But instead of apologizing, I got another fine notice that afternoon, this time for unsanitary animal behavior. 2 fines, 2 days, and a very angry Karen. That's when I decided, if Karen wanted to play the HOA game, I was going to beat her at her own rules. I grabbed the same HOA handbook she'd used against me and buried myself in those pages like a lawyer, preparing for war. What I found inside, a loophole so perfectly legal, it was almost poetic. Buddy and I were about to turn Karen's own system against her, and trust me, she never saw it coming. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with the HOA handbook spread out like a treasure map. Each page was packed with rules, fines, and legal jargon that could make anyone's head spin. But buried deep on page 47, I found something. A tiny section most people would overlook. It read, "Any homeowner who issues an HOA fine without board approval shall be subject to a counter fine of equal or greater value." I froze. Wait, that meant Karen wasn't even allowed to issue those fines on her own. The HOA board needed to approve them first. So not only were my fines invalid, but technically, she'd just fined herself. A slow grin spread across my face. "Buddy," I said, scratching behind his ear, "it's payback time." The next morning I printed 2 counterfine notices, official looking, documents with the HOA logo and all. I carefully typed in her name. Karen W., violation 47C, unauthorized fine issuance. I even added a due date and signature line, just like she did with mine. When she strutted by later that afternoon, clipboard in hand as usual, I was ready. "Karen," I called out cheerfully. "I think you forgot something." She turned, confused. I handed her the papers. She scanned them, her eyes widening. What is this?" "An official counterfine," I said with a straight face. "Section 47C of the HOA bylaws. You fined me without board approval, so you owe me $400. Karen's jaw dropped. "You can't fine me. I'm the HOA chairwoman." "Actually," I said, flipping open my own copy of the rulebook, "you're just a representative, not exempt." For a second, her face turned redder than a stop sign. "You'll regret this," she hissed, storming off toward her house. But later that evening, I got an email from the actual HOA board. Apparently, she'd been issuing fines, without permission for months, and other residents had started coming forward too. Karen was now under official review. And guess who the board asked to provide testimony? Yep, me. Buddy wagged his tail as if he understood every word. But here's where things took a twist I didn't expect. Because the next morning, Karen decided she wasn't going down without a fight. She had one last card to play, and it involved Buddy directly. The morning after Karen got caught, the neighborhood felt too quiet. No yelling, no clipboards, no Karen pacing the sidewalks. It was almost peaceful. Almost. Because by noon, peace turned into chaos. I stepped outside to find a bright red sign staked in my yard. Notice of unsafe animal. Board review pending. And right there, sitting proudly beside it, was Karen. She was grinning like she'd just won the lottery. "Morning," she said, sipping her coffee. "The HOA board will be conducting an inspection today. Seems your dog may be a danger to the community." I blinked. "Buddy? He's literally napping on the porch." She shrugged. "Rules are rules. Someone filed a complaint." "Someone? Please." There was only one someone who'd go this far. I knew exactly what she was trying to do. Destroy Buddy's spotless record so she could get revenge through official channels. 2 hours later, the inspection team showed up. Clipboards, cameras, stern faces, and the works. Karen followed them like a shadow. pointing dramatically at Buddy's chew toys, his water bowl, even the spot he'd like to dig under the tree. "This area," she said, "is clearly damaged property." "He's out of control!" The inspector frowned. "Karen, that's a hole the size of a tennis ball." Still, they took notes, snapped pictures, and left me with a warning notice. I could tell Karen thought she'd won. That night she even posted in the community group chat. Certain pet owners think rules don't apply to them. Sad. Oh, she was loving this. But what she didn't know was that I'd been recording everything. Every false claim, every fake fine, every petty rule she twisted for her own gain. All backed by time-stamped photos, security footage, and even audio clips of her threats. And just to top it off, I found one more little gem buried in the bylaws. Any member who files a fraudulent HOA complaint may be subject to restitution, equal to community damages. I grinned. "Buddy," I whispered, "we're about to find her back. Officially this time." The next day, I sent the board a full report, screenshots, evidence, and a written statement. I didn't expect much until I got their reply. They scheduled an emergency hearing. And guess who had to show up and defend herself in front of everyone? Yep, Karen, clipboard and all. The day of the hearing, the HOA meeting room was packed. Every neighbor who'd ever been fined by Karen showed up, some with paperwork, others with popcorn. Even Buddy was there, sitting calmly by my feet like he knew justice was about to be served. Karen walked in wearing her usual oversized sunglasses, clutching her infamous clipboard. She didn't look nervous, she looked angry. The kind of angry that comes from realizing you're losing control. The HOA chair cleared his throat. "This meeting is to address multiple unauthorized fines, fraudulent complaints, and misuse of HOA authority." Karen immediately jumped in. "This is ridiculous. I was maintaining community standards. She jabbed a finger at me, has been violating rules for months." I stayed quiet. Instead, I reached into my folder and slid a USB drive across the table. Everything's on here. Dates, videos, her fake fines, even her posting about residents online. The board plugged it in. The room filled with clips, Karen yelling at neighbors, threatening fines, and even saying, "I run this place." The board just signs off. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Her face drained of color. That's taken out of context," she stammered. But it was too late. The chair turned to her. "Karen, effective immediately, you are removed from your HOA position. You are also fined. $2,000 for unauthorized enforcement and property harassment." Karen's mouth fell open. You can't fine me." The chair smiled politely. "Section 47C, subsection 2. You wrote it yourself." The room exploded in quiet laughter. Even Buddy let out a happy bark, tail wagging like crazy. I stood, slipping my hands into my pockets. "Don't worry, Karen," I said with a smirk. "I'll give you time to pay it off, after all. We wouldn't want to break any rules, right?" She glared at me, but there was nothing left to say. Her clipboard slipped from her hands and hit the floor with a dull thud, almost symbolic, like the end of her reign. From that day forward, the neighborhood felt lighter. People smiled again. The HOA actually started listening to homeowners. And Buddy, he got a brand new sign for our front lawn. Not a warning, not a notice. It read, "Neighborhood's goodest boy, fine-free zone." Sometimes karma doesn't bark, it just wags its tail. If you enjoyed watching Karen finally get what she deserved, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more wild HOA stories. Trust me, the next one's even crazier.